I said I don't want to say there's a chance, but it feels like um, the Seahawks were going to bum rush the 49ers. I said the Niners are depleted. They got bull rushed the last time by the Seattle when San Francisco was at home. My only hope was because of Kyle Shanahan and Robert Saleh. And unless Sam Darnold goes pumpkins, I feel like Seattle will win the NFC. They have the best defense, blah, blah, blah. So that was my thoughts pregame, and I had it written down. I have video proof. But watching this game, honestly, it felt like the 49ers were pretty lucky to come out of this game alive. I'll be totally transparent. I didn't watch but probably 35-40% of this game because it felt like it wasn't ever close. It felt as if the Niners had to work for every single yard they had. That Seattle Seahawks defense, I'm not going to be hyperbolic and call it the Legion of Boom, but that was the generations or that era's, the 2010s. That's the best defense we've ever seen. Is it pretty hyperbolic to say from the 2020s to the 2030s? Can we say that this is probably the best defense that we've had in this decade? I mean, we can go back and recall how well the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense was against Patrick Mahomes in 2022. We could talk about that defense. I just do not recall a very great and suffocating defense like the Seattle Seahawks have and the way they performed yesterday. They gave the San Francisco 49ers fits. And I felt, again, that the Niners were happy to even just come out of this game alive. I knew this was going to happen. I knew this was going to happen because the Seahawks are a unit. There was the very shocking news that Sam Darnold injured his oblique at some point during practice this week, and he was questionable to be active for yesterday's game. And I was like, there's no way. There's no way this is happening. Well, it seemed like that oblique was pretty fine to me. He made some really good throws. He only threw the ball 17 times. They have a great run game with Charbonnet, even though he had a concussion. It went out through a portion of the game. But Kenneth Walker was a workhorse. He ran for 120 yards. He had 3 touchdowns, averaged 6.1 yards a carry. Smith and Jigba had a great catch on the sideline. It felt like Seattle was able to do whatever they wanted to do. And this is why I was more confident with Sam Darnold in Seattle this year. Well, Sam Darnold being on Seattle this year than I was last year with him being on the Vikings. I felt like this defense is so dominant and the pieces and the weapons and the way that the culture is in Seattle, I felt like I was more comfortable with making Sam Darnold a game manager. Like, he doesn't have to go out there and win the game for Seattle. The defense is so good because we've seen it multiple times this year where the defense is able to make up for what's the word I'm looking for? The wrongs that Sam Darnold commits, the errors that he makes. They're able to make up for it, and that the offense is so explosive, led by Clint Kubiak, who's done a pretty good job, and they got great players, and the culture that is set that you can make Sam Darnold a game manager. He threw the ball 70 times and only completed 12 passes. Like, he had a passer rating of 110, a quarterback rating of 63. That is the type of stat line that you want from a quarterback like Sam Darnold. Like, we don't need Sam Darnold to win the game. We just need him to manage the game. The defense is flying around, best in the NFL. They got players anywhere. Leonard Williams. I mean, Jets fans just have to be besides themselves. Like, they've got a couple players, Quinnen Williams and Sam Darnold, Leonard Williams. Like, all these players were on the Jets at one point, and they've left the Jets and just done great things. That he's balling. Tate Lawrence, former Cowboy, doing his thing. The rookie. I want to make sure. Inware. I want to make sure I say that right. Imanwari, he is a stud. The secondary is very good. They suffocate you. This defense is just phenomenal. Matt McDonald, there was a lot of skepticism with him going into this playoff run because he's had no experience and things of that nature. Matt McDonald, he's a phenomenal defensive play caller. Baltimore wishes they still had him. They're just good. And really, if this feels like this is the Seahawks Super Bowl to lose. it feels like it is theirs for the taking. If you look across the landscape, if you defeat the Rams or the Bears, which I think they are going to defeat either one of those teams next week, you're going to be facing an AFC team with no quarterback experience. You're either going to face CJ Stroud, Drake May, or Jared Stidham. I'm making this bold of a statement because mostly of the events of the Broncos and how they lost to Bo Nix. I probably would not be saying that if it wasn't for what happened to Bo Nix. But after what happened to Bo Nix, I am just trusting Seattle all the way. I don't see a scenario where the Rams or Bears beat them. That defense will suffocate Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford is already playing injured. I'm interested how he's going to play tonight. I feel like the Bears, they're too wishy-washy. Who knows if they're going to play 4 full quarters tonight. But if they were to move on, I'm not trusting them to play 4 full quarters against this defense. I don't think Caleb Williams' heroics is good enough to get by. And I dang sure am trusting this defense to suffocate CJ Stroud, Drake May, or Jared Stidham. And I think the offense is prolific enough. They got, and Tom Brady was pointing out in the broadcast, those tight ends that they have, I mean, they are great tight ends. They have a very underrated tight end group. Matt McDonald has established a culture that is a gritty football team. Gritty football team. And Tom Brady pointed that out on the broadcast. Cooper Kupp's making necessary plays when he needs to. You got an all-pro Pro Bowler, best wide receiver this year, Jackson Smith and Jigba. 1-2 combo with Kenneth Walker. I've said in multiple weeks now, I think Seattle has a super underrated running game. People do not give Seattle the credit that they deserve because I think their run game has been underrated for over the last second half of the season. And the question mark for them is Sam Darnold. And if Sam Darnold can play like this, they're winning the Super Bowl. I don't know what else to tell anybody. I really don't. I don't see a scenario where I see Seattle lacking up. I don't see them losing next week because if you watched that game yesterday, that stadium was every time Rashid Shaheed was returning a kickoff, you could hear the sound barrier pretty much just, I know it's been hyperbolic, but it felt like the sound barrier was breaking. There was cracking through the speakers of the TV. That's how loud that stadium was. And I can only imagine how they're going to be NFC Championship game. And if we see it, 1 win away from 4th Super Bowl appearance in the 11th season. It feels like this organization in the Seattle Seahawks has been the standard over the last couple of years when it comes to team building and culture and things in that nature. I think their GM is he's a top 3 GM in my opinion in the NFL. Is it Scott Snyder? 1 to 2. I can't remember the fellow's name. But this sucks for the Niners. We all knew that this was going to happen. At one point, I was sitting there saying, I turned on the game 10 minutes after kickoff, and I looked, it turned on. It was 14 minutes. It was 14:47 on the game clock, first quarter, and the Seattle already had 7 points. And I'm sitting there Seattle's already scored. She'd already ran one back, first kickoff of the game. But this sucks. Brock Purdy, pretty emotional on the sideline. There's a lot of Seattle media out there posting clips of Lenore and Trent Williams complaining about them not having the assets. Let's be honest, guys. It's true. I mean, you're out there playing without Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, Christian McCaffrey left at one point in this game. George Kittle. And Brandon Ayuk. These are valuable assets to the 49ers. We really need to be padding. I know a lot of people don't believe this in the NFL, but we really got to be patting Kyle Shanahan and Robert Saleh on the back for the type of job that they've been able to pull off with the roster that they've had this season. With all the injuries and stuff, just the idea of going to the division round is absolutely remarkable. And you cannot knock yourself for losing to the number 1 team in the NFC and a team that is more than likely representing the NFC in the Super Bowl and more than likely should win it, are going to be favorites to win it. I wonder what the betting odds are currently right now, but I, with no doubt in my mind, feel that the Seattle Seahawks more than likely are the favorites to win the Super Bowl. So that's pretty much all that I have for today. That's all that I'm going to discuss. I will be back with you all tomorrow, more than likely, to discuss the outcomes of today's game, and we'll get to a couple more topics as well. I'm thinking about making some changes to my live streams. I've had a rough time having time to prep the show and things of that nature for a full live stream. I'm gonna figure out what I'm gonna do about that. I don't know if I'll just do pre-recorded stuff. It's just pretty hard for me to have in one set and have everything done for a live stream. So I don't know what I'm gonna do about that. So I'll let y'all. I'll have y'all updated about that in the near future. But that is all I have for today, and I will see y'all on my next reaction to the games today. Enjoy the rest of NFL Divisional Round Sunday.